Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about Afraid of Freedom. It's I think, common story I've heard time and time again over the years from spiritual seekers, perhaps on the doorway to awakening, so to speak, that it feels like they're on the edge of a precipice, they're on the edge of a cliff, or they're hanging on by their nails on the edge of a void. And there's this great fear that happens because we are finding security in the holding on to something solid. I've sometimes heard enlightenment described as not holding on to anything. And so in a way you are in free fall, or better yet, you're just floating along in a void. There's no floor, but there's no walls. There's nothing. And so there's nothing to be holding on to, nothing to be attached to. And this brings up serious amounts of fear sometimes in people. A lot of it is because, from newborns having the oceanic feeling, we've been slowly building up walls. We've created our own prison in our mind, these walls of safety. And so we've created the prison walls, and now we feel safe within the cell. We've become institutionalized. We don't want to get out. To get out means to be unsafe. Anything could happen. Well, the very fact is that we have become comfortable within and have created this sense of security by creating limitation. It is within limitation that we have this feeling of security and safety. The absolute freedom of no walls, no fences, is terrifying for some. In the same way that the ego would say, you're wearing armor and you're wearing a mask. You're not really showing your true self, and you're armored up so that way you won't take damage. And, we have built up this armor and mask, and we feel safe behind it. And so when you show your real face, per se, and unmask yourself or take off the armor to be vulnerable, it's terrifying. Because we feel safe behind the armor and the masks. We feel safe behind the walls. We don't want to lose those. And so we've gained or acquired a great deal of fear and dread that the walls will ever go away. And it becomes an existential threat. What could happen to me if I did not have these walls? And so it's something to look into, and looking at this fear and dread and horror of freedom, of absolute freedom. Because what a lot of people search for, what a lot of spiritual seekers search for, is a improved or better me. They don't want absolute freedom. They just want a roomier cage. We just want additional freedom to feel better. But we still want there to be walls somewhere out there protecting us from the outside. But liberation, awakening, enlightenment is, in a way, a demolition of the walls. There are no walls. It's an absolute void of limitation and walls. And so the trick is to be able to fully accept this vulnerability and allowing there to be no walls, and to be comfortable with no walls, to be comfortable floating along. You don't have to be tethered along. You don't have to be. It's not like you're a balloon and you're desperately grasping onto the string that's tethered to the ground, and it's like, terrified. If I let go of this string, I'll just be floating along. I need to hold on to this string for dear life, because that is my security. That is my anchor. That's not freedom. Freedom is severing the string, letting go of the string. It's to allow just to float in the void. Ultimately, it's even seeing through the me, the one that's floating. But in this video, I'm trying to address the resistance the me has as it approaches this total freedom. It freaks out. It doesn't want to be totally free. The me has become very comfortable within its walls, with its ties to the ground, with its armor and masks. It doesn't want to remove any of this, because then it doesn't feel safe. So it's something to just play with, is to delve into this. Do you really want unconditional, absolute freedom? Be honest. If you really want true freedom, you have to be willing to go where the angels fear to tread, so to speak. You have to be able to just be vulnerable, float in the void, and let it be. Much of this video is just pointing out, I think, the institutionalized nature that we've all become. Because criminals that are in prison, some become institutionalized, and they don't want to leave because the outside world becomes scary. And we've all become institutionalized in terms of we don't want to be outside of limitation. We are very comfortable with limitation. We want limitation. We feel safe if there's limitation. And so, kind of delve into your own institutionalization. Something to play with. Anyways, if you got any questions, comments, please post below. But until next time, thank you much.